All right, folks, welcome to week 8 of Track Plus, where we are talking about follow-up and the client experience. We were just saying a moment ago that it is the art of follow-up is one of the things that is the easiest thing to do, but for some reason is the most difficult to do. Um, I was just following up with one of my clients that I hadn't heard from in a little while, and he was in a car accident. So it's always good to keep in touch with your people, not only from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. So I'm gonna start us off with that. So the weekly challenge this week is to do a minimum. I think this is a lot, but a minimum of 10 Pop-Bys. So I know we've talked about this before, but what are Pop-Bys? So these are the little trinkets, little items of value that you would package together and you would drop off, pop by your client's home. Um, and if they're not home, you just leave it on the doorstep, or, if your practice is just to assemble everything together, go and drop them by. So many different people do it different ways. Some will ring the doorbell, try and get them, have a short little visit with them just to check in, how are things. So that is the weekly challenge, is to do 10 of those Pop-Bys this week. So the mindset minute is fortune is in the follow-up. And we know it. We just, so for some reason, like I was saying earlier, it's sometimes it's just a little bit of a struggle to do. But why do we follow up? What's the purpose of following up? And it's really to stay top of mind. It's that top of mind awareness. And if you think about your database, you've got your database put together, or putting it together. And it's one of those things that I look at. It's one of those, it's always growing, always evolving. There's people on there that you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe you want to skim those off, or folks that you've recently met that you want to add into your database. So it's always growing, it's always changing. It's just one of those things that it's not a one and done. It just always, you're always working on your database. So think about your database and how big is your database? On average, a good sized database is anywhere from 230 people to 300. Um, when you think about your sphere of influence, so these are people that you could either call, email, text, and they would know you by name. So they know you. So if you think of kind of this circle, like your sphere of influence, your closest people are going to be your friends and your family. If you go to the outer rung, it might be people that you've met before in either a vendor relationship, a business relationship, maybe it was a past job, maybe it's a current job, but maybe you have their contact information. They know who you are, you know who they are, but maybe that relationship needs to be nurtured just a little bit. So those people would be included in what's called your sphere of influence. Think about your database as your farm. So we talk about like farming neighborhoods. So, if you wanted to do expireds or something like that, or pick a neighborhood in your area, that's reaching out to people that you don't know. But also think about your database as also your farm. You're going to treat them the same way that you would a group of people that you don't know, say, for example, in your neighborhood, um, farming area. Um, but actually, you want to treat them a little bit better. And the art of it and how you can actually make this work for you is being consistent, as they said in the videos, sowing the farm. So The analogy was it's a farm, it's the dirt. The dirt needs to be constantly tilled so that you can drop the fertilizer in and some some plants can be produced from that. So it's the same kind of thing. You want to always be working your database, nurturing your database, and reaching out to your database. So an example that they gave in the videos where they're talking about the yield of your database. So the example was given if you have 240 people in your database, if you have a system or a process where you're constantly and consistently reaching out to your database, either through phone calls, emails, Pop-Bys, um, things like that on a consistent basis. In your first year of consistency, you could yield 5%. So, what does that 5% number look like? So, an example of a database that's 240 strong is you could get 12 units from a database the size of 240 people. So what does that mean, 12 units? So that would be either people directly in your database, maybe looking to buy, sell, or rent, or people that they know, right? That would be a referral of somebody who might be in the real estate market. The next year, in year two, and this is again, consistently reaching out, touching base with your database, could yield up to a 10% yield. So, what would that be? That would be 24 units, as they were calling it, but that's same thing. So, either people directly in your database that have real estate goals or people that they know or that they're connected with that would have real estate goals. And that consistency just keeps growing exponentially as you're nurturing that database. The database is getting bigger because you're meeting more people and you're consistently contacting, reaching out, touching base with the folks in your database. That's really how you're going to stay top of mind. And that's when people have real estate needs, you're going to be the one that's going to be top of mind and they're going to say, "Oh, Devin is my realtor. Zerveni is my realtor. I'm going to call. You need to talk to them right away." So we have this database, right? What do we do with this database? How do we prospect? How do we nurture? What do we do with this database so that we can stay top of mind? So when we think of a database, it's not just like a Rolodex, if you will, or an Excel spreadsheet that has a list of names. Yes, that might be it. But I don't know where it's at now, but this, this is a database, right? You have contacts in your phone. Use it. Social media, that's a database. Your Christmas card list, your holiday card list, that is a database. So uh, when I got started into real estate, was kind of early on with social media, but um, I had an Excel spreadsheet and I went through um, I had an address book, an actual book that I had written down personally people's names, addresses, phone numbers, things like that. I did have people in my phone, but I put those into an Excel spreadsheet. I went through my phone and I looked at all of my contacts in my phone and I put them into this spreadsheet. Then I was pretty active on LinkedIn and I had a professional following connection database. So I put all of those people into my database. And it ended up being around 350 people, which I found there was a combination of one, there's a combination of contacts in there, right? But there's also, you have different connection points with different people. Some people you have phone numbers only. Some people you have addresses. Some people you have phone, email, addresses. You're friends with them on Facebook. You're friends with them on all the other social media channels. You know where they live. You know what their gate code is. Just you have all of that information. So as I was talking about earlier, the closer you are to the middle of your sphere, the more information that you have about people. The farther out that they get, you have less information. I'm going to make a recommendation. A person is not in your database unless you have what you have to have at least one contact point for each contact in your database. Phone, email, physical mailing address, maybe a work email address, or a social media connection. One of those, if it's just a name and you don't know, have any other information about that person, get them out. Or get their contact information and keep them in your database. But you need at least one contact. So when we're talking about prospecting and how can we be top of mind and how can we connect to people, it's think of all of those places. And real estate education is going to teach you about sent handwritten notes. Well, handwritten notes you need to have a physical mailing address for, right? Sending emails, you need to have their email address for. Um, Text messages or phone calls, you have to have their phone number, right? So a best practice is to have in your prospecting plan all of those areas. So something that you're going to hit each one of those connection points. So prospecting using the phone, a phone number, right? So that's going to be text messages and phone calls. Prospecting for emails. So if you only have an email address, you're going to have email. You're going to be sending emails. If you have a physical mailing address, you're going to want to be sending them cards or things in the mail, or they're going to be on your Pop-By list and you can pop by little things. So it's because of the different types of people that you've met over the course of time and your contact information, your prospecting plan really needs to hit all of those areas so that you're connecting with those people that you have connection information with. Does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense? So some prospecting ideas would be social media posts, do personal posts and business related posts. Don't make it all about real estate. People go, bah, yuck, she's all about real estate, he's all about real estate. Make it a mixture. Um, Call your database every quarter. Make sure that you're reaching out to people, calling them 4 times a year. And that could even include handwritten notes. Um, Also, while we're on the handwritten note topic, is sending birthday cards or holiday cards, Mother's Day cards, Father's Day cards, Thanksgiving cards, New Year's Day cards. I'm just throwing out examples. Pick, 3 or 4 holidays that you really want to kind of target. Um, 4th of July, that's a good one. Do you really get a card in the mail for 4th of July? No, not that often. So think of kind of unique ways that you can reach out to your database. Um, Emails, suggestion is twice a month. So a monthly newsletter, and then maybe 2 weeks later, something in between. That would be a fun fact about real estate, or maybe it's a CMA on their property, or maybe it's homes that are listed for sale in their neighborhood. Everybody always wants to know what's for sale. Yes, they could go to Zillow and find that out, but you don't want them to. You want them to come to you as the trusted real estate source. Um, and then client events. We're actually, as a brokerage, looking to do a client event in the beginning of November or October around Thanksgiving. So we're looking to do so, and we want agents to bring their clients, and we're going to do what's called a reverse pie event. So instead of you taking pies to your clients, you want to invite your clients to the office to come to see us versus us going to see them. So more info to come on that. Does anybody have any questions about that? But really consistency is the key here, is just staying consistent with whatever system that you put together is just keeping it consistent. So if we take this prospecting to your sphere and we put that towards a database or a group of people that you haven't met. So say, for example, you are farming in your neighborhood, or you want to target um, expireds in your, say 2 miles from your home looking at expireds as an example, or FISBOs. What or internet leads, if you just kind of went out of the box looking for buyers and sellers, primarily people that you don't know, is and you're going to have limited information on them. So for the most part, you're going to know where they live, right? So think about doing monthly postcards or letters in the mail, or even you could do Pop-Bys. You could even drop your business card. You could do a CMA and drop that off. You could mail them. Yes, there is some expense to them, but marketing and prospecting to a group of people that you don't know is much different than marketing and prospecting to a group of people that you do know. So here's some other ideas. Videos. Um, I have had people reach out to me doing just like a video and, hey, just, reaching out, wanted to touch base, see how you're doing. Would love to connect with you at some point soon. Let me know what your availability is. End of video. So instead of sending a text, you can record a short video and send it out to folks that are in your phone. Um, Networking events. That is an opportunity, especially if you want to learn to build your vendor database, is networking opportunities. Um, there are agents who are hyper local in a particular area in their community and going to visit small businesses and getting to know businesses, exchanging information. How can you help each other? Maybe they have a promotion or coupons that they could offer. Say, hey, I've got a database. I'm a real estate agent in the area. Do you by chance happen to have a coupons or coupon codes that I could share with my database to bring in new business? And vice versa. Volunteering is always a great way to build your database, and just really get reconnected in the community and, just it's those good works out there. Um, any questions so far? No? So, a client experience campaign, what is that? Um, so a client experience campaign is really what I was talking about with prospecting and marketing, but it takes it a kind of a step further, and for you to really understand the people that are in your database. What are their desires? What do they like? What are their interests? And create marketing around them. So here's an example is if you have somebody in your database that is a huge golf fan, and so maybe you would tailor any of your connections with them around golf. So maybe the birthday card that you send to them has a golf ball on the front of it. Or if you wanted to offer, a Pop-By as a gift card to the PGA store or something like that. So it's actually understanding your client base and what their interests are, and then tailoring your marketing and prospecting based on those interests of those individuals. It does take a lot more time, dedication, especially if you have a database of over 200. Maybe you don't do it for everybody, but if there's, people, core advocates in there that you might want to think about maybe tailoring your marketing and prospecting based on what their unique interests are. We all want to create raving fans, and that's really what this is a service-based industry. It's a relationship-based industry. And really the best way for you to build a long-term sustainable business is through marketing and prospecting and working your database. We don't need to buy leads. We don't need to, you know, eh, any of that, shiny object syndrome. We really don't. It's especially here in Phoenix, our market is big enough. There's enough business that's out there for everybody. We just have to go out and go get it. So that is the art of follow-up for week 8 and creating a fantastic client experience. So next week of track, it is week 9. My favorite topic, running your business like a business. We're going to get into some financials and we're going to talk about um, treating your business like a business. So stay tuned. Look forward to seeing you guys then.